Someone just provides for me everything that I need. I'm the prize, and you take care of me, and all this stuff. And guys, it's deception. It's deception because the soft life is not free. It takes hard work to have a soft life. And I've experienced it. I do have a level of soft life in my life that I will always be grateful to God for. But it took me a lot of hard work to get there. And I'm noticing that a lot of these women that are selling this soft life dream, they've worked really hard to get to the point where they can even do that. You get what I mean? So nothing is free. Nothing is really free. And then you get to a soft life, and then you get there and you're just like, okay, well, what next now? And you still feel the same amount of discontentment that you felt when you were hustling. Hello, welcome to the Live Your Essence podcast. I'm Sabrina Kumwa, your host, and I'm a speaker, singer, and software engineer. On this podcast, we talk about walking in our purpose, enjoying the journey of growth, and approaching life with a sense of curiosity and wonder. Live Your Essence is your space to partner with your God-given uniqueness to build a life you truly love. Now, let's dive into this episode. When I was growing up, being a hustler was the thing. Being a girl boss was the thing. And for context, I'm 25. So when I say growing up, I mean like in 2010, 2015, that age range. Growing up, being a hustler was the thing. The hustle culture was at its peak, It was all about making sure that you could start your own company, securing the bag. People who could pull themselves up from their bootstraps were celebrated, this person, they started at 5. Or this person, they had nothing and they were able to get to the top. And just this Americanness, the American dream mentality of you can do anything if you put your mind to it. That was literally the vibe of that time. If you're a millennial or you're an older Gen Z, you probably grew up with that being the predominant work culture that you were exposed to. The conversations that you were exposed to were always about people doing things from scratch, but not just making food from scratch, but starting companies and all that stuff from scratch. Wait, what did I just say? That was random. Hustle culture was just sexy. Quitting your job and starting your own company was sexy. But when COVID happened, something shifted our collective consciousness, right? Because COVID made us realize that all these dreams and goals and ambitions that we are working hard for can be removed, and we can lose them all in a day. We can lose them all in a moment. And I think that really shook humanity to its core. We were all shook because we never knew that all these things that we're building and that we're working hard for could one day kind of just disappear, and not just disappear for one person, but disappear on a massive scale for so many people all at once. We never knew that could happen because we had been living in a period of so much stability. And that's the thing about just societies in general, when you're living in a society that is experiencing stability, you don't know that other generations have had to go through the same problems. Our grandparents, they had to go through their own issues where things seemed smooth. And COVID was that for our generation. And in fact, for our generation, we went through COVID, we went through the economic stuff in 2008. So there were different things, but when you are in a period of relative stability, economically speaking, you kind of forget that things can change. And that was the reminder that COVID brought to us. And in addition to that, COVID made us realize that we needed to start paying attention to our loved ones. We needed to start cherishing our time at home, cherishing our life, truly living in a way that is more fulfilling. I think COVID was a reckoning moment for a lot of us because we realized that the lives that we're living, the way we were going, a lot of it was not healthy. A lot of it was not sustainable. And just because you have a big goal doesn't mean that big goal is worth achieving, actually. And I think that's what COVID reminded us of when we ended up being at home and there was just so much pain and so much loss. We started realizing that, okay, I need to call my parents more. I need to call my friends more. I need to check up on people. And so all of that happen in tandem with, the mainstreamization, is that a word? With the fact that therapy became more mainstream. So people started having more conversations about mental health and all the podcasts started popping up. don't forget to hit like and subscribe on this video if you're enjoying this podcast so far. Make sure to add this podcast to your favorite podcast platform if you're listening to this on like a podcast platform. But yeah, okay, let me just continue. But yeah, that's where all of these conversations started coming up, you know? People had time to be at home and be talking and literally ponder their lives. And so we moved from hustle culture to a pause, like a massive worldwide pause of let's just calm down and actually think about if this is the way we want to live our lives. And we've done that collectively, you know, and when I say collectively, it's like everyone kind of went through that journey in their own way. Most people. There's always gotta be some exceptions. Yeah, there's gotta be you want to be the exception. Okay, let me stop. So just that's kind of the shift that happened. And when we got to that place of reckoning, when we got to that place of stillness, when we got to that place of like really thinking about if this is the kind of life that we want, a lot of us said, no, this is not the life that I want. I want a life that's more fulfilling, that's more meaningful. I want a life where I feel like I have time for my loved ones. I have time to enjoy my money. You know, I'm not just making the money to keep it in the bank. Like, let me actually do something with it. And yeah, and for many people who were laid off, it was like, okay, well, so I devoted all of my life, you know, to this employer and they just laid me off. So now I'm not going to feel the same about work in general because you think it's going to reward you, but then they don't reward you. And so just on a wide scale, many of us have started to lose hope. Hope that life can be stable again. Hope that things can ever go back to what they were before. Which personally, I think that our future is going to look different. And I still believe in hope. I made a video on hope, but I don't think that we should be looking back and be like, dang, is this going to come back? I don't think it will, personally. But that's a different topic. And so, yeah, so we just kind of started shifting our attitudes towards many things. And that led to the rise of the soft life culture. I'm going to call it a culture because that's really what it is, right? So we went from hustle culture to the soft life culture. And the thing about the soft life culture is that it came up as a natural consequence of what happens when a society spends all its time working, and then something massive like COVID happens. And then we realized that, you know, maybe we were working hard, but should we have been? And then we developed this new thing called the soft life culture. And where, because all of us are on our phones, we keep getting these messages of like soft life, soft life, soft life. You know, life is about being still and intentional and just like being at home and being present. And all of that is beautiful. And I think I live a very soft life. So I'm not bashing it. But here is my point. We went from one extreme to another. What should have been something that taught us about presence and caring and being fulfilled has been perverted into an aesthetic, has been perverted into making us feel like we don't owe it to life to work hard. And that's my problem with it, honestly, because I am a soft girly. I love soft life. But I want to talk to you today about how we need to learn how to integrate tension in our lives and how not to be extreme in our thinking. And social media makes it hard to do that because depending on what you're looking at, there's not that much nuance. It's like either I'm all this way or I'm all that way. And I just want to tell you today that you don't have to be completely this or completely that. You need to learn how to design a life that integrates the things that you want in the levels that you want, with the rhythm that you want, so that you can actually be fulfilled in your life, because that's what living your essence is all about. So let's talk about it. The reason I'm able to clock when something like the soft life era is turning bad is because I went through all this shift that I explained. I went through that internally. I went to the extreme thinking internally, like what I just described about how collectively as a society we move from hustle culture to the soft life. You know, I went through that in a very hard way personally, and I'm gonna share that with you so you can understand why you have to be careful and why it's best to live a soft hustle life than to go in any of these two extremes. When I was growing up, I was hustle culture impersonated. Like, I was literally that hustle girl, okay? I was a hustle child, for goodness sake. I worked really hard as a kid. I was very disciplined. I had all A's, in all my classes. I was a very hardworking child and young adult. And I mean, I'm still a young adult, but like, I was just a very hardworking child and teenager. I was the top of all my classes, or at least most of my classes. Don't count me for PE, but the other stuff, I was at the top of my class. And so I was just working very, very hard all the time. And in high school in particular, I knew I had to work very hard because I knew that I needed to find a way to afford college. My mom was not going to be able to afford my college, and I just knew that. I was living in Ivory Coast at the time, and I wanted to come back to the US for college, and I knew that my dad wasn't working, my mom was working really hard already, and I knew that just it would be very tough on her to expect her to pay for my tuition. So I was like, okay, I need to figure out another way. And my solution to that was I need to get a full scholarship. And so I worked my butt off to get a full scholarship. And by the grace of God, I got my full scholarship, y'all. I went to college on a full ride. And that was my first example of, hard work does pay off. So I know the value of hard work paying off. But at the same time, because of that entire experience, I know that hard work can be extremely painful and stressful also. And hard work can lead you burnt out. Because, hey, newsflash, buddy, I started college burnt out. Like, I was tired. And by the grace of God, like, I still kept my scholarship. I did wonderful in college. Like, I had amazing grades. But just, like, if we're speaking about my mental health, like, I was already tired and burnt out from high school. I was in college trying to recover from what the heck just happened in high school and all the work I had to put in. I feel like my high school was, like, even harder than college, to be honest. IGCSEs and A-levels are no joke. All right, I was in a British high school, and that stuff is no joke. So I knew that hard work was painful. I knew that it was a good thing and that it got me where I wanted to get to, but I also knew that it was painful. And so that's why I say that I understand how, as a society, the change that happened on a societal level happened to me personally, because I knew that, okay, I'm working really hard, but do I really want to keep doing this for the rest of my life to that intent, like in that intense way? Probably not. And so what happened was, around that time that I was feeling burnt out, I was being presented with this new thing called soft life. And so on my phone, on my videos, on YouTube, like, I was just bombarded with, like, this new era of living, this new way of living that women can be, and you can be soft. And like, that was the new messaging that I was receiving of, okay, you can be soft, you don't have to do this, you can just like live in a cottage in London and just like make, all your bread from scratch, and like, you can just like have this different kind of lifestyle for yourself and just be amazing. And so that was like the other extreme that I quickly overcorrected into. And I thought that way of life would allow me to not have to work as hard. So that's naturally the space that I overcorrected into, that I just cross-corrected into. And that was because I thought that was going to offer me the solution of the dream life that I wanted. I was like, okay, hustle culture is not doing it. This hard work stuff, like, it's just not it. I'm exhausted, I'm tired, I need something else. And so I went into this whole self-care thing and this whole soft life thing thinking that it would give me the solution that I was looking for. What actually happened was I did achieve that soft life. And that's why I think I'm a good person to explain to you this nuance, because I did achieve it, So after college, I got my dream job, and I still love my job, and I just love my job and my company and my team. Like, I'm happy at my job, right? And so my job was able to afford me a lifestyle of soft life. I was actually able to get there. Now, when I did, I realized something that unfortunately a lot of people take all their lives to get to, and I'm happy that I just kind of like went through it and got there really early. And that's why I'm making this video and this podcast to share it with you. I got to a point where I was just like, okay, now what? Like, literally, now what? Okay, so I'm calm, I'm cooking, I'm doing all these things, I'm going to work, it's calm, it's soft, but like, now what? Like, what, like, there should be more to life than just achieving this look or this aesthetic or this standard of living. Life is not just about trying to achieve a standard of living. And that's the problem that we are not realizing is happening with this soft life culture, because hustle culture sold us these dreams that you can be a boss chick and you can do this and you can make all the money in the world and lead a company, and we realize that that's not fulfilling. All of a sudden we shifted our fulfillment from thinking that what hustle culture couldn't give us, we shifted that to soft life, and we think that life is now about, just being at home and making things from scratch all the time, or just like, just being at home and just being soft and quiet, and for, in many other ways it's become very materialistic. Like soft life is like, I don't do this, I don't work, I don't do nothing. Someone just provides for me everything that I need. I'm the prize, and like, you take care of me and all this stuff. And guys, it's deception. It's deception because the soft life is not free. It takes hard work to have a soft life. And I've experienced it. I do have a level of soft life in my life that I will always be grateful to God for. But it took me a lot of hard work to get there. And I'm noticing that a lot of these women that are selling this soft life dream, they've worked really hard to get to the point where they can even do that. You get what I mean? So nothing is free. Nothing is really free. And then you get to a soft life, and then you get there and you're just like, okay, well, what next now? And you still feel the same amount of discontentment that you felt when you were hustling. And that's because deep down, you haven't solved the problem of where you put your worth and where you put your fulfillment. And that's why now I decided that for myself, my life, as far as my life is concerned, I want to be more invested in creating a happy rhythm, a rhythm of joy and happiness, whether I'm hustling or whether I'm being soft. I want to create a rhythm of presence and gratitude. The reason I'm using the word rhythm is because I don't want my life to be about arriving at a certain aesthetic or a certain destination or a certain place where people can admire me. I want my life to be about every day should matter. And that's what I'm urging you to consider, like living a life of the soft hustle. It means in my life, I decided to integrate that tension, and we are running away from tension. We should not be running away from tension, because there are some seasons of your life that will require you to work harder, and some seasons of your life will require you to be more chill. And the problem is we think that life should look one way completely or another way completely. And because we don't deal with our extreme way of thinking, we become extreme in the soft life. So now you don't want to do anything. Now you don't want to work hard at all. Now someone should provide for your every need. And you feel like you don't owe it to life to work hard. And that's a problem. That is a problem, because as an adult, you should be working hard. And we think that all these women, showing soft life on television or whatever on TikTok are not working hard, when they are. In order to make things from scratch and that's a lot of work. And a lot of times they have childcare, they have support, they have people helping them, and it's not always a husband, sometimes it's themselves. And so what looks like an aesthetic is just a facade, because in reality, everyone is working hard. If you see a mom who is staying at home taking care of her children, that is not easy. That's not something that she just gets to she's just taking care of the kids. And just because she can make content out of it doesn't mean that that woman is not working really hard. And so I respect stay-at-home moms. I respect all the women who are doing the things that they need to do to curate their lives. All I'm trying to tell you is that be careful if you start thinking that a soft life is easy. All of these boss chicks and killing it and all the trips, like everything has a cost, and you don't know what cost someone is paying. You don't know if they're paying that cost to another person and they wish they weren't. You don't know if they're paying that cost by working really hard at night. I work really hard. I've had nights where I'm just working all night. But when I post my pictures, people are gonna think oh my God, her life looks so nice. I would think maybe that's how some people might think, because I feel that way about other girls that I see like me. And the reality is that the soft life takes hard work. And so a better way to live, in my opinion, is to integrate the elements of hustle that you need and the elements of soft life that you need, and decide for yourself, what is the definition of soft life in your life? What do you want a soft life to mean in your life? And for me, I decided that for me, I want my life to be soft in terms of my essence, in terms of how I approach things and how I think. So I want to be joyful. I decided that I want to live a life of peace and love and happiness and wonder, especially. I don't want life to take away my childlikeness or my playfulness. And it's like, I want to always be cute and playful and just have a lot of color in my life. And like my best friend likes to say, I want to beautify my life. That's what soft life means, right? So it's like, I want my hard work to matter and to be intentional. And that's what I decided that it means for me. And to hustle and to work hard means that I want to fully go after my goals because they're worth it. And that's the definitions that I was able to integrate into a life that makes sense for me. And I urge you to do the same. So sit down and just decide, like, if you want to live a soft life, what does that mean? Don't let other people's definition of soft life take over your life. Just because someone has a car that was paid for by a man or by somebody does not mean that that's the soft life that you should aspire to. Living your life soft could mean that you just want to have your weekends to yourself. You just want to be able to like sleep in a few days. Like, you can decide for yourself how to create and integrate that softness in your life so that you don't have to start thinking that to live a soft life means that you never work hard just because you were traumatized by hard work. And I want to leave us off with a thread that I saw from this girl. And I told her that I was going to add this and like talk about it on my YouTube, on my podcast. And her name is Kyra Deer. And so I'm going to put the thread on the screen. And she says, I can't speak for everyone, but my desire for my soft girl era was a trauma response. Once I created a safe space to heal from survival mode, scarcity, and comparison, I naturally began to desire more hard, purposeful, and intention-filled work. The kind I wake up early for and have to force myself to put away at the end of the night. I was burnt out from striving to live a life that wasn't for me, not from life itself. And that, you guys, is the mic drop moment. Thank you very much, Kyra. I 100% agree. I agree because my soft life era, or the way I just ran into that, was also a trauma response. You know, the girlies are tired. We're tired from feeling like our goals don't matter. We're tired from feeling like we're just going to keep working forever. And so in order to not deal with that tension and that discomfort, we course correct to soft life. But that's not the answer either. It's not the answer, because that will make you feel just as discontent, because that's not the answer. The answer is learning how to balance the tension of life and how to embrace the seasons that you're in. If it's time for you to put your head down and work hard, do it, but do it happily, do it gratefully, and keep the softness inside of you. Don't let that make you become hard. And if it's a time for you to rest, like, I don't know, maybe you just gave birth, or maybe you're going through a transition in life, when it's a time for you to just rest and be in your soft life era, let yourself be there. And don't also look at the girlies that are girl bossing and be like, oh, I wish I could be doing this right now. Like, just enjoy the seasons of life that you're in. And so I think that the secret is honestly contentment. The secret of contentment is being present and being grateful to God for what you have in the season of your life that you're in. And also doing the work to keep your balance, to never be overly soft life and overly hustle. Learn how to build a life that integrates all of that for you. Your fulfillment will come from the decisions that you make, and not from you chasing an aesthetic or chasing what someone else is telling you that your life should look like. Your fulfillment comes from being intention-filled, like she said, doing things with intention. Your work is going to feel exciting and meaningful when it's the work that you actually want to do. And your peace is going to feel good when you've done hard work. But if you're always trying to be soft but you haven't done the work, you're not going to love the softness that you're feeling, because it's like, what next? And so I feel like I talked about a lot of different things, and I'm going to probably make this a series. You know, this was the first episode of this like soft hustle thing, but I want to make it a series. And if you love this so much, please let me know in the comments. Like and subscribe, and add me to your favorite podcast platforms if you're listening to this on a podcast platform. But I hope this was insightful to you, and I hope that this helps you realize that you don't have to live your life chasing an aesthetic. You can live your life integrating different things that you care about and making that your life instead. And so God bless you. Thank you so much for watching. Please comment and let me know how this has helped you in any way. And don't forget to live your essence. Bye.